And he turns around and says, Prince Charles is sitting next to him, and he turns around and says, you've got one good son. Whether they're a stranger or not, he's got two sons.
Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well and that you had a great week. To all of my house guests, come in, make yourselves at home, make yourselves comfortable. If you're passing by and you'd like to become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I'm Chez, this is Chez M0i. Welcome to my place.
Born over a fault line, bad teeth and worse habits, high heels in a trailer. If you want it, you should have it. Cracking like a glacier, of restraint.
Since ancient times, various tactics have been employed by kingdoms and empires in order to get what they want and to ensure economic and political stability. When you come to terms with that, never again will you have to wonder why, in addition to his 300 concubines, King Solomon, who was supposed to be the wisest man who ever lived, used his wisdom to acquire 700 wives. Diplomacy is an interesting word.
Diplomacy.
Defined by Oxford Languages as number 1, the profession, activity or skill of managing international relations, typically by a country's representatives abroad, and number 2, the art of dealing with people in a sensitive and tactful way. Therefore, given the currently volatile geopolitical landscape, it came as no surprise to me that all the stops would have been pulled out to accommodate President Trump and his wife when they visited the UK during the latter half of the week. Now, I'd imagine that Prime Minister Keir Starmer would have had to use all his powers of persuasion to convince King Charles to go even further than his mother did in June 2019, to roll out an extra long red carpet on this unprecedented second state visit. Let me put myself in Charles's shoes for a few moments. Now, if I'm afflicted with a serious, some say terminal, illness, the very last thing that I would want to have to do is put on an extra special show of pomp and pageantry for a man who many would consider an egotistical, self-interested dictator with a god complex. Now, just to be clear, guys, these are not my words. These are adjectives I've seen stated online. What would make me possibly come to such a conclusion? Other content creators have taken the time to analyse footage from the state visit, from which I think it's pretty clear that Charles is not impressed, despite Trump's apparent sycophancy.
Well, he's a great gentleman. A great gentleman and a great king. Well, he's a great gentleman. A great gentleman and a great king. He has given his whole heart, everything he's got, to those parts of Britain that are beyond the realm of mere legislation. It's not easy with which to find its essence and its virtue, its harmony and its soul in the finest tradition of British sovereignty.
And one couldn't help but notice that the main attraction did not detract from the inevitable awkward moments being played out in front of the cameras.
The British royal family is totally beefing, and we have video evidence that they cannot deny at this point. It really started at the Duchess of Kent's funeral, and it started with William sitting up here pretending like he don't give a damn about his Prince Andrew, and he got to pretend in front of the public that he can't really stand this man, even though... Look at William. He's like, I got to stand here pretend in front of the UK media that I can't stand this man. And Prince Andrew was like, we always joke like this. Why are you not laughing? What's changing? Oh, they're watching. The cameras are there. Right, I get it. Okay, let me get into it. And then when Donald J. Trump arrived to the UK for his visit, just look. How in the hell is Donald J. Trump and Melania is more affectionate than Prince William and Kate? Look how they're holding hands, and look at Kate. Like, Donald Trump and Melania, when the last time have we seen them be affectionate to one another? Even for them, this is a horrible ass family, and they're like, let's just, we got to support each other. Melania, like, let me cover my damn face, because I do not want to be seen with these people. I just, ugh. But baby, when I tell you it came to Camilla and Kate interaction, oh, look at that look. She's like, what the hell? Girl, why are you over here? Move the kid show it. And Kate over here like, hi Melania, how can I be more racist like you? How can I be more of a bigoted like allegedly, I joke. It's that side eye from me. The side eye is just like, what do you get away, ew. Like, look at her, she's like, what the hell is you doing? Like, get away. But it's the last clip right here where she just shoos her away. Look at Camilla, like, look, what? Girl gone. Get out of here. Shoo. It's the little curtsy for me. Like, I have to look at this again. Look at how she shoos away. And Kate's like, oh, okay, let this go. Oh, okay, go. Oh, let me curtsy.
In this clip, it doesn't take a genius to work out why Andrew is hanging around after the Duchess of Kent's funeral. He doesn't get out much, so he needs the cameras to be on him. There's no need for him to be loitering with intent. Supposedly he's waiting for Fergie, but I just find him so rude. He's waiting for Fergie, but he leaves Fergie to trail behind him. And these people call themselves royalty. Goodness me. In addition to those awkward moments, I was wondering how awkward it was when William and Kate were made to greet the Trumps as they disembarked from Marine One. This article was published on closerweekly.com on July 12, 2018, and the headline reads, Donald Trump once published a not-so-nice message about Kate Middleton on Twitter. Was that really necessary? Queen Elizabeth is set to meet President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump at Windsor Castle on Friday, July 13th. So I just want to clarify, the trip referred to in this article in July 2018 is not the first state visit. That took place in June 2019, as I stated earlier. This trip refers to a work visit, in inverted commas, when Theresa May was Prime Minister. And though the POTUS won't be meeting Kate Middleton, a mean tweet Donald once published about the Duchess has now come to light. Back in September 2012, Donald, who was not president at the time, voiced his candid opinion of Kate's unfortunate nude photo scandal. Kate Middleton is great, but she shouldn't be sunbathing in the nude, only herself to blame, the 72-year-old wrote. Earlier that month, a French magazine published topless photos of Kate with her husband, Prince William, on vacation in Provence, France. Once the snapshots were released to the public, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, who had just tied the knot months earlier in April 2011, filed a criminal complaint and launched a claim for civil damages against the magazine. At the time, a St James's Palace spokesperson called the media's decision to publish the topless pictures of Kate grotesque. The rep added, "The incident is reminiscent of the worst excesses of the press and paparazzi during the life of Princess Diana, and all the more upsetting to the Duke and Duchess for being so." Years later, in September 2017, William and Kate were granted $120,000 in punitive damages from the photo scandal. In a prepared statement read by lawyer Jean Vale during the investigation, William described the candid photos of Kate as painful. The clandestine way in which these photographs were taken was particularly shocking to us as it breached our privacy. My wife and I thought that we could go to France for a few days in a secluded villa owned by a member of my family and thus enjoy our privacy, William said. So this photo to me speaks absolute volumes, particularly when we know that William loves to hold a grudge. And to be honest, guys, I have to say Kate did very well here. Like Queen Elizabeth, Kate knows that this will not be the last time she'll have to smile and grit her teeth in the spirit of diplomacy when dealing with allegedly unscrupulous heads of state. But curiously, there are those who limit her capability to simply being a wife and mother.
She is now the Princess of Wales. I can't help but think that that title is a poisoned chalice. All Princesses of Wales in the past have had problems, and Kate's the same as everyone else. She has her own problems, her own cross to bear, but she's done the job in an exemplary fashion. Kate's doing a great job at being a wife and a mother, and that's all we can expect from her.
Before I move on to my next point, I'm going to stay on the topic of Paul Burrell reluctantly for a few moments. And I want you to listen to this conversation between Piers Morgan and Tessa Dunlop. I'm including this because it loops back to last week's video where I spoke extensively about Morgan. And he makes a concession in this conversation.
Tessa, welcome back.
Hello.
I've almost missed you. This is Paul Burrell's words. He said, well, at least I've got my heir and a spare now and I can return to Camilla. But when you read that, if that is indeed what he said to Harry, when Harry asked what really happened with my parents, you can understand the anger.
I've got a bit of cognitive dissonance going on here, Piers, because I've heard you cast asunder Harry for spilling the beans in his book. How dare he be so indiscreet? And yet you laud Paul Burrell there for being hugely indiscreet about a moment that probably should have never been shared beyond him and Diana.
Are you saying these moments should remain private?
No, I'm just saying that that's Paul Burrell making a fast buck on a story.
So you don't like people making a fast buck from Royal Revelation?
Well, I'm just saying that you should be the one that's angry. You were the one that had a real issue with Harry. I'm sorry, Piers. I'm just saying. I'm calling it out here.
And I'm just saying, I remember you defending Harry's right to say what he wanted to say. So you should defend Paul Burrell's right to do the same.
I'm just interested by the double standard.
I don't dispute, Tessa, for a moment that Harry's angry. He's perpetually in a rage, right?
I think he's moved on from that a bit, though. He no longer is demanding the apology. He made it clear in the wake of losing the court case against the Home Office that he wants reconciliation. Yes, he's made some guffs, some errors. For goodness sake, look at the maelstrom into which he was born. I think the truth is, deep down, Harry would love to reconcile with both of them.
I'm sure that's true. I mean, it is a Shakespearean tragedy.
Your cold old heart.
Do you want a reconciliation?
Do you want a reconciliation this week?
No.
You're a swine.
A few observations with regard to this clip, which I only came across yesterday when I was on Instagram. I went onto Tessa Dunlop's page, so I didn't know this existed when I did last week's video. If you recall, what I said at the end of last week's video was that Morgan does not want a reconciliation between Harry and Charles. You literally just heard it from the horse's mouth, guys. Morgan is such a contentious man. He loves drama. If he is not the one creating it, he goes looking for it. Okay, that's number one. Number two, to Tessa's point, why is Harry vilified for writing his own account of his own experiences within his own family, but Burrell creates fascination for sharing anecdotal information about a family he wishes he was part of? Furthermore, why does Piers not have prior knowledge to this story since he claims to be so close to the royal family? If you watch this clip in its entirety, you can see he's a bit miffed. It's like, oh, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about this story. He's not as close to the royal family as he thinks he is. And for all we know, Paul Burrell could have just made this up. It seems that in order for books to have any kind of promotion, Harry's name has to be mentioned. But I just find it interesting that this man, Burrell, continues to dine out on these stories. And speaking of which, I recall when he was diagnosed with cancer, supposedly, and he made out it was really critical. He said he had a message for William and Harry. He wanted to give this personal message from their mother to her boys. We haven't heard anything since then. He said he wanted to deliver it to them before it was too late. Years later, the man is still here, creating mischief. What's the message? Was that made up as well? This man is the dictionary definition of cashing in. I will continue to say that Harry has every right to document his experiences, and I will say once again that the majority of the proceeds of the sale of Spare were diverted into his charities. Where are the proceeds of Paul Burrell's book going? Straight into his pocket, I'd imagine. And we should just take consolation in the fact that he will not see the level of sales that Spare has seen. They can't make money without the Sussexes, but they have the audacity to say that the Sussexes are using their royal status to make money. Make it make sense. Redirecting our attention to the state visit, it came as no surprise to me that the trashy toilet tabloids would somehow find a way to try and embroider Harry and Meghan into this spectacle. This article is from the Daily Mail, published on the 18th of September 2025. The headline reads, Harry and Meghan left out in the cold as Trump and Melania wine and dine with royal family at Windsor. I am not going to read this entire article. It's too long and it's trash. Okay. I'm just going to read the first few paragraphs because I want you to see how ridiculous this really is, as if you didn't know. Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex were laying low in Montecito as the rest of his family lived the highest of high life at Wednesday's state banquet for visiting President Donald Trump and Melania. After weeks in the headlines amid Harry's recent high-profile visit to London and Meghan basking in the spotlight from her Season 2 launch on Netflix, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were keeping out of sight at their California mansion, Daily Mail can reveal. Instead, the former Suits actress, 44, has been conspicuous by her absence from social media, nothing but an Instagram post for her husband's 41st birthday on Monday, and there has been no sign of the couple in their adopted hometown for days after Harry's return. Okay, and what does that prove? That just proves that they are getting on with their lives. Both Meghan and Harry have become a familiar sight in the, I think that should say tiny, guys, seaside city, but appeared to have gone to ground when the Daily Mail visited Montecito this week. I'm not going to read anymore, okay, because this is what I wanted to get to. The fact that this couple is continuously stalked should scream to you what is going on if you didn't know already. So when they tell you that Harry and Meghan crave the spotlight, why is the Daily Mail visiting Montecito on a regular basis? And you're disappointed when you can't find them. You're disappointed when Meghan chooses not to post. Absolutely ridiculous. And this is what they call journalism. This is what they call integrity-led journalism. What an absolute joke. With regard to this Daily Fail headline about Harry and Meghan being left out in the cold, can we make room for the possibility that they were extremely grateful for the spotlight not being on them so that they could enjoy some quiet time together and recharge their batteries after months of intense productivity? This article is from people.com, published on September 14th, 2025, and the headline reads, Meghan Sussex celebrates Prince Harry's return to the US with a cheeky toast when your beau is back in town. Now, I'm not going to read the entire article because it really details his week in Europe. On Sunday, September 14th, Meghan Sussex celebrated the return of husband Prince Harry from his recent travels in Ukraine and the United Kingdom. A post on the official Instagram account of Meghan's company, As Ever, marked the Duke of Sussex's return to California with a photo of a hand, Meghan's hand obviously, filling 2 wine glasses with the lifestyle brand's 2024 Napa Valley Rosé. When your beau is back in town, red text added over the snapshot. As I say, let's make room for the possibility that they had their own private celebration. They don't let us know everything. There are trips that they've taken which we don't know about until months later, because Meghan doesn't post everything that they do. And what springs to mind is a trip they took to Arizona, and she chose to share that snippet of information. I think it was on her show with Love Meghan season 2. That's one thing that I remember. So it's almost like you have to baby these members of the British media, because they literally have zero common sense. They don't miss all of this pomp and pageantry, especially where Trump is concerned, knowing the way that Meghan and Trump feel about each other. I look forward to the day when the Daily Fail is no more. The tabloids, as ever, pun intended, wait longingly for the Sussexes to fail miserably. But as Meghan had told Emma Grede on her podcast, she doesn't believe in failure, and that you can learn from every experience. Here is the CEO of Netflix, Ted Sarandos, speaking enthusiastically on Emma's Aspire podcast regarding his partnership with the Sussexes.
I had Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, on this podcast, and she spoke a lot about the type of partnership that you've done with her, which is like outside of the show, the As Ever brand. So is that the type of, I'm just trying to think about the mix and the various different parts of the business. Is that more of the direction that you'll go in that will set you apart from the other platforms?
Yeah, look, I think what we have is cultural relevance. YouTube does too. But I would say that we have cultural relevance in a way that most outlets do not. That when you go to a dinner party and someone says, "Oh my God, did you see?" The chances are they have Netflix and they can go home and push play and watch it. That's a very big thing. And in fact, I think one thing we learned early with Meghan, she has remarkable influence. Remarkable. So when we did the documentary on her and Harry, the trailer, when we ran the trailer announcing it, hundreds of people broke down every frame of the trailer and would.
We note it. We're seeing this on a micro level right now.
and the $20 shoes that she got from a village that was making these shoes sold out all over the world. And the $1,500 blanket that was on the chair sold out all over the world.
That's some power. That's some influence.
She has incredible power and influence. She could put, and I think that for me, it's like, okay, well, how can we enable this to be a more holistic thing?
Yes.
So that's what that relationship.
But I mean, the consumer products business is a very different thing, right?
Yeah.
For you guys to go from having the data and understanding that a trailer with those two can do those type of numbers and then have the commercial impact to actually starting a brand, a physical
and by the way, and the documentary
product.
itself was also one of the most watched documentaries we've ever had.
Wow.
So it was successful by every measure. Now, I don't think that you can have a consumer business if you don't have a consumer products business, if you don't have a great entertainment business. So that's got to come first.
It's got to come first.
At this point, it would have been more than appropriate for me to bring up the fact that millions of pounds have been spent on these particular 48 hours, and they would have been better spent on improving the lives of UK citizens. However, according to what has been widely reported, the billions of dollars of investment into the UK via the tech sector are meant to result in producing thousands of jobs. But you guys already know me. My cynical self is more inclined to believe that those billions of dollars will never reach the ordinary people who really need it, but rather fatten the pockets of the already fat cat elites. Amongst other things, what this second state visit has done is resurrect the age-old question of, is the royal family relevant? Some people say yes, other people have a different opinion.
Cool. Let's talk a bit more about whether we're delighted. Today we realise why we have a royal family. Christine in Hampshire, hello.
Oh, hello, Jeremy.
Hi. What do you think? Are you very pleased we've got a royal family today?
No, I'm like Kevin, a Republican. I cannot believe that in a Christian country like Wales that we have this privileged family with so much wealth, so many homes, and yet they are entirely selfish. And how much did all that cost the taxpayer last night? Not to mention the red arrows. And yet fences were put round and the poor old peasants weren't even allowed to get anywhere near them. So
it's funny. I mean, also to have the Secret Service say we can't allow anyone near. Well, you allowed a guy to sit on a roof with a rifle a few months ago. I mean, hello. So, Christine, you're not pleased that we've got you're not saying this now justifies the money on the royals or anything like that?
No, I'm 80 now, and unfortunately, I will never live to see a Republican country. But where's Oliver Cromwell when you need him? Sorry.
All right, thank you. Marie in Glasgow, hello.
Hello.
Do you think to yourself, this is why we have a king?
No, and I'm embarrassed to say I'm British. I'm actually Scottish, but I'm embarrassed to say I'm British. I listened to his speech, and he turned around and says, Prince Charles is sitting next to him, and he turns around and says, you've got one good son. Whether they're a stranger or not, he's got two sons.
Yeah, I thought that was odd.
Spoke up.
Yeah, it's like they forgot to type in something.
Two sons.
Yeah, he should have said you've raised two great boys, and I can see one here. It was a bit unnecessary, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Apart from that, everything all right?
Everything's fine, but I'm just astonished that he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
It just reiterates the fact that Harry still thinks he's a spare. Yeah. No wonder.
Mary, isn't that Trump all over? And we've just, in the UK, we've trying to royal wash him and make him...
Royal wash him. That's a good... Is that your phrase? That's very good.
Yeah, sorry.
He's been royal washed.
It happens occasionally.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make... all these past sins, crimes, wipe them away, make them all acceptable. And even when you do that, he's like, as you say, he's offensive. He just can't help it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marie. Thanks so much.
I can only conclude that all of this grand display of pomp and pageantry, which I'm led to believe is the envy of the rest of the world, has simply exposed the blind spots which the British media will continue to ignore and hope you do the same. So guys, as I wrap up this video, I'm going to be quite frank, I guess, because what I've realised in the last 10 days is that some forms of speech are freer than others. I'm going to reference something that I never thought I would reference on this channel, because what I normally talk about on this channel is so far removed from that. So let me just say what I'm going to say. Let me go back to Wednesday, the 10th of September. I was on my laptop doing what I normally do, boring financial reports. And then I see my phone flash. It's on the WhatsApp and it's my daughter. It's my daughter's name. So immediately I'm going into protective mum mode, because that is not the time she usually calls me. Usually it'll be around 1 or 2 a.m. UK time, because we're in completely different time zones. As I said, protective mum mode. What's happened? Are you all right? That's the first thing I said to her. And she's like, I'm fine, mum. But have you heard about this person I'm going to refer to? I'm going to refer to them as Mr. X. And I think if you listen to what I'm going to say, you'll understand who it is. So she said, did you hear about Mr. X? I'm like, I don't have any clue who this girl is talking about. I said, I don't know. I don't know who that is. She proceeds to explain, and I have the tablet on in the background and the news is on. So my daughter's explaining and I'm confused, because as I said, I don't know who this person is. The news is talking about this. Same thing she's telling me in this ear, I'm listening to the news in that ear. And then as she's speaking, the newscaster says he has passed, or, you know, they said what they said, but you get the gist. So I say it to my daughter and she's in shock. At this time, I'm really confused because I have no clue who this person is. But then I think to myself, for them to be reporting it on British news, this person must be a prominent figure. That's what I'm churning around in my mind. So we conclude the call. I said I was going to call her later. Then I go into research mode. I stop what I'm doing because I'm like, what is going on? This is not making sense to me. Please tell me who said I should go on TikTok. But when I went onto TikTok and I saw clips from different angles and I saw the raw footage, and I'm like, what is going on? I still don't know who this... All I know is that this person has been deleted in front of my eyes. No editing, raw footage. I'm like, okay. So I do my research and I'm coming to find out the type of person he is. Trying to, you know, withhold judgment. And because I know I've still got stuff to do. So I don't want this to be taking up too much space in my brain. I kind of go back to work, but I'm not really concentrating on work. And then I know I've got another video to produce within the next couple of days. And that's a video I uploaded last Sunday. In all of this, it's really playing on my mind because I can't get this image out of my head. And what it reminded me of was 9/11, because I can tell you exactly where I was, what I was doing on the 11th of September 2001. And it had that feel. And I think it's because I saw what it wasn't edited. It wasn't edited. That has stayed with me for 24 years. This image is not going to leave me. And I say that to say, I now realise how everything is interconnected, because if you watch last week's video, I didn't reference it. because I was determined not to. I'm thinking that hasn't got anything to do with what I talk about, as I said earlier. It does though. Everything is interconnected, because there's this whole argument globally about free speech, Constitution, First Amendment, Second Amendment. You guys who reside in the US know better than me. I have other family members who reside in the US apart from my daughter, so they're more qualified. I'm not qualified to speak about that. I can only share my thoughts. Okay, so bear with me. So this led me to think all sorts of thoughts, to the point where I withdrew for a few days because I couldn't process what happened. I couldn't process what I was coming across online about this person, conflicting information about this person, and everyone's opinions, and I've withdrawn, and I speak to my mum about it. My mum's really good at encouraging, so we talked about it at length. And the same with one of my cousins who I bumped into. Never expected to bump into her, but she's a qualified counsellor. So we were just on the street, and she was saying, "Oh, what's wrong?" And I was telling her, and she understood because she had other people talking to her about it as well. Yeah, that was very dark. It was very dark for me last week. And then you have this state visit and all of the interconnections there with regard to free speech, because it transpires that Jimmy Kimmel has been suspended and the ramifications of that, which certain people didn't budget for, was that ordinary people like you and me are voting with their pockets. So Disney's in crisis because people are unsubscribing. They're cancelling their subscriptions. Paramount, Hulu, anybody, well, most people that have booked their trips to Disney World, Disneyland, they're cancelling their holidays. Trips that they've prepared for months and months ago, they're cancelling because they're like, we're not having this. You can't do this, because now it's like we're living in an authoritarian regime. And I'm like, what is this? What is this madness? Everything is interconnected. You have the President of the United States on the visit, and there's this Epstein element lurking in the background. Andrew is staying away. Andrew is not welcome at these things. The fact that he was at the the Duchess of Kent's funeral, he was in his element because he's like, oh, I'm out. Okay. Can you imagine if he and Trump were at that banquet? Can you? And then the fact that Trump denies that he knows Mandelson when there's actual footage of Mandelson standing next to him in the Oval Office and they're having an interaction. But no, I don't know him. I'm like, what is going on? And then you've got the images projected on the side of Windsor Castle. You are not going to see the full narrative on news media. They have it on Instagram, an account called Led by Donkeys, I think it is. And it's a whole 9 minutes of narrative giving you the in-depth analysis of this relationship between Trump and Epstein and the Mandelson element and all of this. And I'm like, what is going on? Everything is interconnected. When you talk about free speech, certain people don't want certain people to have free speech. If we take Samantha Markle, Grant Rasmussen, whatever she's calling herself, into consideration, another re-emergence of her in the courts trying to get one over on Meghan with the same old tired narrative. Oh, you hurt my feelings, or you said you were an only child. Meghan said she grew up as an only child. That's her opinion. It's been argued time and time again. I've got an article here actually. Let me see. And it's from Sky News Australia, who cannot stand Harry and Meghan, but they've reported this. And the headline says, it's an article from the 12th of September. And I don't know who writes these, but they don't proofread. Meghan Sussex's big legal win in libel battle with estranged half-sister after judge casts, it should say doubt, but it says double, on latest appeal. And it goes on, and I just scrolled down to the last few paragraphs. Samantha lost her case in federal court in Tampa, Florida, but persevered to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals on Tuesday, where the case was handed to a panel of 3 judges. Chief US Circuit Judge William Pryor pressed Samantha's lawyer on whether the latest appeal addressed the original ruling by Judge Charlene Edwards Honeywell. It seems to me that everything you argue about is beside the point, Judge Pryor said, quoted by Courthouse News Service. Because when the district court rules, you have to knock down in your opening brief every basis for the district court's ruling, and you didn't even touch this. No verdict has been handed down for the latest appeal, but Judge Pryor's comments appear to show scepticism about the merit of Samantha's case. This woman reminds me of the Terminator, because no matter how many times she's knocked down, she's determined to get back up. Meghan is entitled to her opinion. You know, First Amendment, free speech, all of this, but as I said, some free speech is freer than others. What's going on, guys? Everything is interconnected. This is where the royal family need to be careful, because they're in a precarious position. They performed this week with this state visit. You know, people are saying, oh, you know, I felt so proud, all this pomp and pageantry. Okay, the pomp and pageantry is hiding what's really going on behind the scenes. These blind spots, which they don't want us to see. I mean, all of these things are designed to boost national pride. That's why they bring out these almost medieval stage shows, okay? Because these are the things that really boost the morale of the country, supposedly. I mean, some people feel like that. I don't, because I look at it as money that could have helped kids. You've heard me talk about this before. Everyone has their views. Everyone's entitled to their opinions. We do not agree on everything. But this is becoming a dictatorship in the West. That's what I feel. And when I say corrupt governments, I've said before, when I think of corrupt governments, I do not think about Africa. I do not think about what was previously referred to as the Eastern Bloc. I don't think about Russia. I don't think about those countries. I think about the UK. Freedom of speech. When I think about the royal family and how William and Kate have tried to, or have succeeded in gagging certain members of the media because they may have said one or two things unfavourable about Kate. The person who springs to mind is Anna Pasternak. I've talked about her in a couple of the videos where she tells of the incident where she'd written an article. William and Kate didn't like it, so they went to Tatler. I think it was the deputy editor, who happens to be Camilla's niece, and said they wanted it pulled and they wanted this and they wanted that, and Tatler obliged. So from what I recall, Anna Pasternak didn't get paid, or something happened. It was a negative consequence. Freedom of speech is not free, guys. That's the conclusion I've had to draw. I don't feel that melancholy that I felt at the beginning of the week. That's gone, and I've just had to come to terms with certain realizations. But even with all of that happening, I'm happy that Harry and Meghan are not embroiled in that mess. As much as the tabloids want to convince you that they're out in the cold and that they wish they were at this state banquet, or, you know, in the presence of the Trumps. I believe Harry and Meghan are living their lives happily. Meghan is creating her recipes, looking after her family, spending quality time with them, and not concerned about what's going on over here. Don't be fooled, guys. There's really nothing to miss, because at the end of the day, what they do on this side of the pond is all performative. Guys, if your thoughts were provoked in any way, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and you shall catch me in the next video.
He's doing it brilliantly, as he does, and he's had a great week back in the UK, and it just made me think what a loss he is, and how great it would have been to have the brothers working side by side as they once did. And what a shame that 5 years ago the palace couldn't have found some way for Harry and Meghan to be half in, half out. But he's doing it on his own terms now, and he's doing it very well. So well done, Harry.